So we started out at the thrift store. We have some ripped up jeans, a plaid shirt, a white shirt, a little black skirt, and a shawl. I'm going to take both shirts and I'm going to cut them down the back so then I can attach them afterwards. Next, I pin them right sides together so then I could put them through my sewing machine and make them into one shirt. Because both sides had the buttons in the front instead of buttonholes, I'm going to take off all the buttons on the white shirt and 2 of the buttons on the plaid shirt, and I'm going to sew them together and have 1 black button, 1 white button for the first 4 top buttons. For the top button, I'm going to use my sewing machine's option of making a buttonhole, which I've never really used before, so that the top button could be open so that she could easily slip it over her head. Once I cut off all the strings, I'm going to snip a little hole in between the stitches for the button to come through. And this is what the shirt looks like on. Next, we're going to work on the bottom. So I have the skirt and the ripped up jeans. So half is going to be the skirt, so I cut off 1 pant leg. The pant leg that I cut off, I'm actually going to use as a boot cup. So I'm just going to cut off some of the extra, and then I'm going to add some fur I picked up at Joann's. And I'm going to use my glue gun, so I'm just going to make some lines, decide where the fur is going to be, and this fur sheds a lot. So just little by little I'm going to roll until I get the whole thing covered. On the long side that she's going to be wearing, I'm going to take a little patch of fur and I'm going to glue it behind so that the fur could peek through some of the holes, and I made some extra holes so that you could see the fur, so it looks like her whole leg is furry under that side. So I'm just going to glue it here and there, and then I decided afterwards that I'm just going to put some stitches in it so that it stays when she's taking it on and off. In the front, I'm going to use a crochet hook to pull some of the fur through so you can see it better. The next step is working on the hood, so I took the red shawl and I draped it wrong side out over her head so that I can pin it in the shape that I wanted to. And then I'm going to make the hem and put it through my sewing machine, cut off the excess, and then afterwards I'm just going to cut around where I pinned around her head so that it has a nice curve to the hood. And this is what it looked like afterwards. Now that I have my hood and my half a cape, I'm going to put them together. Starting the cape in the back of the hood, I'm going to pin it about 4 or 5 times so that it's a little bit loose, and it's only going to hang on one side. Afterwards, I will stitch it, but before I stitch it, I just want to see how it hangs. So there it is, just on one side. Then I'm going to use a crochet hook to pull this cord through the opening that I made so that she could tie it around her neck, and then she's all ready to go to Grandma's house. Now back to the bottom, I'm going to attach the skirt to half of the side. So I'm going to stitch along the top, and then I'm going to make a few stitches in the front so that it looks like it comes around in the front and also in the back. Now that I have most of the costume done, I'm going to work on the details. So I have 2 pieces of felt that I cut into triangles. So I have gray for the outside and a skin tone for the inside. She didn't want pink on the inside. She wanted it to look more realistic. So I just cut along the edges. This bottom I'm cutting is going to attach to the headband. And once I get the pieces all cut out, I'm just going to put them through the sewing machine, right sides together. So I already did that ahead of time, just to save time. Flip it inside out, and then I'm going to stitch along the edge. This is going to make it more firm and help it to stand up. So I'm just going to speed up this process, make it quick. Now in the middle, I did some extra stitches, but I'm going to add some fur with my glue gun. Just a little triangle right in the middle. And once that's attached, I'm going to stitch it so that the ear has a little bit of a curve to it. This is also going to help it to stand up correctly. Just a few stitches on the inside. Now for the back of the ear, I cut this triangle to approximately the size of the ear, and I'm going to use my glue gun to put it on just around the edge. Once that's on, I cut a long thin strip, which I'm going to glue around the edge to cover up the seam. So I'm going to start at the top and gently press. So this way the fur comes out on the sides. I'm just going to trim it, and then I'm going to start at the top and go down on the other side so that all the seam is covered. Once that's all done, I just wrapped it around a headband and stitched it on. It's not glued in case I want to use the headband again. And this is what it looks like with the hood. This whole costume started out with this half mask my daughter picked up at the craft store. She painted it gray and I added some details. I cut out another strip of the fur to make the eyebrow. And then I'm just going to trim the edge. And I love this eyebrow. It came out really good. Once that's done, I'm going to cut another strip to go around the side of the head so that it's fur coming all around. That will be peeking out of the hood once it's all done. So this I'm going to start at the top, and then I'm going to get my glue gun and I'm going to glue around the whole side. Once that was done, I decided that I wanted a little bit of fur coming down like a bang. So I cut a triangle piece and I glued it on the forehead. And there seems to be like a little bald spot on the side, so I got another little scrap just to fill in the space. And then I'm gonna play with it to make that invisible. As a finishing touch, I used a sock out of our missing sock drawer. I cut off the tip. I'm adding a swath of fur. So this is going to be a wristlet. So I'm just going to decide where I want the fur to fall. So I'm going to put it on, I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to stitch it around the edges so that her one wolf hand will have some fur as a finishing touch. And this is what the costume looks like all together. Happy crafting!